Hello everyone, it's good to see you all again. So I'm going to talk about one of my recent artwork that I made. It took me about 1 month to make it, and it is one of the most detailed artworks I've made, and I will reveal that to you in a little bit. So I've been working on really detailed big scale drawings, and I will talk about one of them in this video and about the other one in the next video. So, this painting took me about a month to make, and it has to be one of the most detailed artwork that I've made. It's a drawing, not exactly a painting. And the thing is, I've never paid so much attention and never given so much effort to doing small details. But I wanted to push myself because otherwise, I'm not going to grow, I'm not going to get any better. And it is the best thing I've done so far. I've started doing very detailed artwork and put more effort because till now I was sort of just doing half-hearted work. I didn't put as much effort, and these days I'm trying to put tries the effort and just taking my time to do this, and paying very close attention to what I'm doing and think about why I'm doing it, and paying a lot of attention to significance of what I'm doing. So let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to reveal the work. This is a pen and ink work. I've used fine liner, Unipin fine liner and dip pen on canvas. And this is about 27 by 37 inches big. I've used a lot of photo references from Google Images to draw all the buildings. And only these hanging buildings are from my imagination. But most of them are drawn using photo references. So, about this work, I got this idea while watching a Korean drama actually. So, this Korean drama is called Mr. Queen, and in that series, there's this main character who's set in the Joseon era, if I'm not wrong, and she wears this really elaborate headdress. And in my mind, I was thinking you could fit an entire house on that headdress, or just sarcastically thinking. And from there, the idea developed a little bit, and I thought about the architecture shown in the series, and I love Asian architecture, ancient Asian architecture. I fell in love with the ornate design on the building, on the clothes and the headdress, and uh, I thought about how I could talk about architecture and fashion, and the significance between the two. And then I started to read a little bit about Chinese architecture, Chinese fashion, the royal fashion, ancient royal fashion. And I was blown away by their tradition and culture, especially in ancient China. And I fell in love with the ancient Chinese architecture. Man, it's amazing. And so these are the things that inspired me to do this work. So let's get into it. Now, I've chosen the buildings very specifically based on the religious significance, architectural significance, and among other things. And the way I've placed them is like from the lowest to highest level, right? The lowest being the shoulder and the highest the head. Like I'm talking literally. Now there's this phrase called responsibilities on the shoulder, and this work is like the literal translation of that phrase. This character, this woman, she's an empress or a queen, and she is carrying an entire nation on her shoulders and her head, and she is carrying them with grace and dignity. And she is guarding it, she is guiding it, and she is protecting it. Now, these two buildings are the Imperial Palace from the Forbidden City in China. There's only one, but I've made two. And this, the shoulder part, it's made to look like the roof of this building, and the palaces rest on that. So, the heaviest duty, the most duties in ancient China were probably carried out in the royal palaces, the imperial palaces. Hence, these buildings are placed on her shoulder. And then we have the sun and moon pagodas. They are the twin pagodas. And pagodas are like Buddhist temples, and they are of architectural marvel. So these two buildings have religious significance. So she carries that on her hairpin, and it just, hangs from her hairpin. And then we have towns and villages, houses, and other buildings you would see in villages. There are some hanging houses, right? And on the other side, we have some more towns and village buildings with more hanging houses. And this one is a Famen temple in China, and it's situated around villages and town buildings. We have an old man and an old woman. In ancient China, people used to worship their ancestors, they pray to their ancestors, and they kept their hair very long. The reason I put these two old figures, the ancestors of this empress, on her hair, on her head, was because in ancient China, people kept their hair very long. They never cut it because it was considered a very sinful act to cut it, because they consider their hair and skin as gift given to them by their parents. So the act of cutting the hair or getting piercing and tattoos on the skin was considered like, damaging the gift. So it was an offensive act. And in some cultures, they say long hair connects you to your ancestors. If you see Native American, indigenous American cultures, they keep their hair very long. And it's believed that it connects you to your ancestors, and it gives you the power. It's like a very spiritual thing. So she carries her ancestors on her hair in regard to that beliefs. And above these two figures, you will see an ancestral shrine with incense sticks burning, the smoke dissipating in the air, because I am talking about the worship of the ancestors. Now, this ancestral shrine is placed at a little higher level than these palaces and towns. Now, we are coming to the higher level of duties, and worshipping the ancestor was considered as a very important practice in many ancient Asian cultures. Then we have the watchtower. This is called the Yellow Crane Tower, and you can see that it's very detailed. And this is the Princess Night Pavilion in China. Again, it's a royal building, I guess. Then we have some more village building and another shrine. And this is a very ancient Chinese gate. I really like the old vibe to it. It's looked very ancient, and I really wanted to add that. Now, at the topmost level, we have the Temple of Heaven, and this temple is considered as an architectural marvel in China, and it holds a very important religious significance. Back then, the royal families would perform ceremonies and rituals to pray for a good harvest. And this is a very beautiful temple. It's got a lot of ornate design that I've not included in this, but it's a very beautiful and huge structure. Now, if we look at the levels, starting from the shoulder, we have the imperial palaces where the heaviest duties start for a royal person, and then we have a little bit of religious buildings. Then we have the towns and villages which are looked after by the royal. Then we have the ancestors, and then finally the Temple of Heaven. Now, if you look at the building, it's like I'm talking about the highest place you can reach. The highest place you can reach, starting from the duties of the nation, the duties of worshipping the ancestor, taking care of your family, taking care of your neighbors, and worshipping your ancestors, and finally reaching heaven, worshipping the gods, and offering rituals and giving other offering. That's like the highest place you can reach. So the way this is composed is like this empress is carrying all these duties on her head and shoulders, and she just looks ahead. She doesn't seem stressed, or she not faced by the weight of the responsibilities. She is carrying them with grace and dignity. And then this is the silvering that I've used. It kind of glistens and shines in some angle. So now I've used storytelling to make this composition interesting and more narrative and elaborate. If you look at the composition, it looks like this, with three lines in the middle cutting across one vertical line, and it's similar to the Chinese character for king and queen, and that's a coincidence. And I love that little detail. I like the composition. It's similar to the Chinese character, and it fits very well for my artwork. So, like I said, this work is about the literal translation of the phrase responsibilities on the shoulders, and I chose Chinese theme for this because I wanted to talk about the significance of architecture, the influence of religion on architecture, and the culture of Chinese ancient China, worshipping the ancestor, regarding kings as gods, if I'm not wrong. And also because I wanted to talk about how architecture can influence status in the society and how status can influence architecture. Like it goes hand in hand if you really think about it. The more elaborate and more significance there is to an architectural structure, the more advanced the society is, and the more they have, the higher their standards are. And if you look at architecture today, it's very plain and minimalistic. There's not much ornate things, there's not much design, and it's like very minimalist. And look at the status of the society today. I'm not saying that we are below, but we sure have changed in terms of lifestyle. There's more technology today. And today, with regard to architecture, it's like we don't have much to say. We're not saying anything. If you look at ancient architecture, be it in Renaissance era or ancient Indian uh, temple era or any ancient architecture from any place, they gave a lot of importance to symbolism, sculptures, and significance in with regard to religion, science, or anything. They were saying so much through these kind of significances that this architectural structure was not just there for function, for some purpose. It had a lot to say. Now, today, with our kind of architecture, we don't say anything. It's just there for a purpose, just there for its function. If you take a chair, for example, the chairs are so plain today, it's just there to sit on. And even with office building, school building, or any kind of building, even houses, it's just there for the function to live in, to work in, to go inside for shelter, and this. There's not much that it says. Back then, religion played a lot of importance in the development of architecture, not just in China but also in ancient India. If you look at the temples of ancient India, it's so elaborate and there's so much significance to each and every element on the temple, each and every carving of the temple. And there's also scientific influences on the temple and other architectural structures. And also in Japanese and Korean architecture, we do see a little bit of influence from the religion and other things. So it's like a reflection of the kind of society that existed back then. So that's one aspect that I have talked about in the work that I have illustrated in my work. There was a lot of factors that influenced architecture then. Today, when it comes to religion and other aspects of our lifestyle, is reducing. We don't see much art in architecture, so it's very awkward to have them incorporated in the architecture. Today, we are more focused on money and technology and just trying to survive. Back then, people had a lot of things in their lifestyle, incorporated in their lifestyle, like rituals, religion rituals, and art, different kinds of art and other things. So also when it comes to responsibilities today, it's more about just trying to be survive and trying to make money to keep you going. I don't feel like the responsibility of taking care of your family is taken as seriously as we did back then. So I guess that's another aspect that I've illustrated in the work. So yes, there will be some more similar works like this, and it's going to be a very tedious and very detailed work, but I really enjoyed the process. It took all of my attention to do it, and it somewhat stilled my mind while doing it. And while I was working on this, I felt like this is such a pointless work. Why am I doing this? And when I first started the drawing with pen on canvas, it was very challenging, and I was thinking, this is such a pointless challenge. Why am I doing this? But as I kept working on it, it simply made more sense and it became easier. And I'm so glad that it challenged me, because look at the result. Do you agree that it is one of my best work? So yes, I challenged myself, and at the end I was really happy with the result. And it confirmed my belief that the process is more important than the result. The process is for me, the result is for the viewer. The final work is for the viewer, for the audience, for the person who is seeing the work, and the process of making it is for me. So, yes, I really like the process, and I like doing something that requires a lot of my effort and attention. I like doing something that is very hard to do when it comes to artwork. So, yes, and I'm going to be making more detailed works like this on bigger scale, and let's see how it goes. And let me know what you think of the work in the comments below, and I will be showing and talking about my other drawing in the next video. So my next work will include Indian architecture, Japanese architecture, and maybe Thai. I'm not sure about that. And I will be talking about rituals or significance from Hinduism on architecture and among other things. So you will see, but it's going to take a lot of time to show you about that. But I'm going to be working on other projects in between, so you will see them soon. So let me know what you think of my new work, and you can check out my Instagram for other artwork that I've made that I've not shown here. You can go check them out. You can follow me on Instagram. And if you want to see more of my journey as an artist, subscribe to my channel and show some love. So until then, saranghayo. Bye.